Right now I'm sitting in the middle of the inlet, Browns Inlet here in North Carolina, and I wanted to go over a couple of pointers and help to get out of these inlets here, specifically the ones that don't have jetties and that are more shallow and a little bit more unpredictable. Just a quick disclosure, I am a recreational fisherman. I am not a professional boater, instructor, or anything like that. This is all based off the experience I've had here in North Carolina going out of these shallow inlets that have shoals that change all the time. So I want to start off by saying these inlets are dangerous. They're very dangerous. And what we got going on here is a lot of fast moving water and a lot of sand and shoals that change over time going over a very shallow bar at the end of the inlet. What happens is you got fast moving water coming from inshore through a funnel, a bottleneck, and then once it reaches the end of the mouth of the inlet, it slows down and it deposits all that sand. And what it does over time is it creates a bar or a shoal that shifts over time with big storms or even just a strong tide. It'll shift. With that, what it does is it can create some unpredictable conditions at the mouth of the inlet. What I want to do is go in and out of the inlet a couple times and show you the conditions. Now today, it's hard to can't see much, but today it's fairly flat. It's got a flat inlet, but maybe I can get to show you some of the how the waves stack up on the bar. You see how flat it is and what it looks like, and then how to read. Hopefully we got a little bit of white water out there, and I can show you when it gets shallow how to look for the deeper water, how to find the deeper water. Now this isn't an insult to Garmin or any of the mats, but if you look closely, this is how much these inlets change. It says now that I am floating on marshland. I'm not floating on the marsh. I am in almost 24 foot of water drifting out the inlet. So these GPS systems are a reference, not a end-all be-all navigational tool, especially for this area. So right now I have my motors trimmed down because I'm going to be honest with you, in my opinion, I would rather put some paint on the skeg when I get home because I hit the bar a little bit than to run into a situation where I lost control of the boat. That can be very dangerous. Paint's cheap. Now the next thing, for all you guys that have twin engines and digital controls and all that, what I do, this is me personally, I put it in single lever, right? So if you have dual controls, go ahead, single lever, get this out the way. And the reason I do that is because right now I have I got everything on the transom right there on that one level. I want everything right at the tip of my fingers. I don't want to be playing around with the throttles and nothing like that. There ain't no playing no games out here. All right, let's get lined up and head out the inlet. These cameras here, they don't do waves justice, which is kind of a shame for this video because I want to show you guys how the waves stack up. Hopefully the camera picks it up on how the bar makes these waves, changes the nature of the wave. But all right, folks, so what I'm doing now is I'm going real slow. I'm going 6.5 knots out the inlet, and we have an outgoing tide. So I would say this is about the minimum pace you would want to go out the inlet at an outgoing tide. What you have to do when you're going out the inlet is you have to be moving faster than the water that's heading out or in the inlet in order to maintain control of the boat. So if I put the boat neutral right now and just let the current take me, right, I'm gonna lose control of the boat. And just letting the current or the tide carry me out the inlet, and I have no control. Once I head over the bar, I'm at the mercy of whatever the conditions are. Okay. Now there's many ways that you can find what the tide is doing. One, you can just look at it. Right now, I would say we're getting really close to slack tide. That water is barely moving right now. But if I look here, this is based off the inlet. This is based off the inlet. I can put that in my area, and it's saying that we're right at the tail end of outgoing tide. So we're about to be at dead low. All right, folks, I told you before I was sitting in 20 foot of water. As I'm slowly exiting the inlet, we're working our way out here. Right now I'm doing what I'm telling you not to do, and that's go neutral, but I want to stop here and show you. You can see how the swell coming from offshore is hitting the shallow water over there and forming white caps on top of the waves. That's the white water everyone talks about that tells you to avoid. You want to stay away from the white water. So let's move on out a little bit, and you can see I'll get you closer to the bar here and you guys can get a better look at it. So I'm moving out. I got the boat going about 7 knots, and that's just to show you I can run this inlet a lot faster than this, but that's just me maintaining control of the boat, heading out the inlet. All right, perfect. Now we're getting close to the bar here. I would say we're on top of it. We've gone from 20 foot of water down to 4, but if you look to my right, off the starboard side of the boat, hopefully the camera picks it up, you can see how these waves, these smaller waves, are standing up. They're hitting that bar, and it's pushing them up and creating a breaker or a taller wave. Perfect. Off my right side, you can see that swell coming in. They stand up and then they start to break. You see that white water up there? That's what you want to avoid. That's telling you, that swell is telling you there's no water there. See that? So all I'm doing is staying in the deeper, faster moving water. Maintaining control of the boat, moving faster than the tide, so I have control. When I turn the wheel, the boat moves. If I was moving slower than the water around me, when I turn the wheel, that boat, I have no control. I'm basically floating down the lazy river, and that's where it's going to push you. It's going to push you right up into that. There's no water there. Looks like we've got some birds working outside the inlet too. Here's a perfect example. If you look directly in front of the boat, it's flat calm. But just off to my right, hopefully you can see it. You see how those waves are starting to pick up right there? Just that slight little bump. That tells you there's a bar there. And then there's the drop off. We made it over the bar. We were at 4 foot of water. Now we're dropping down. See it on the map there. All right, folks. That was us going out of the inlet at a slow pace, okay? Obviously you can go a lot faster than that, but I wouldn't go any slower than that. You have to maintain control of the boat. Now, if you're ever in conditions where you need to go that slow to go out the inlet, you should question whether or not you should be going out the inlet in the first place. Now, the inlets always have different conditions. Well, I don't want to say always, but for the most part have different conditions than what you'll find out in the ocean. We're out here and it's flat calm. I mean, it's slick, absolutely slick today. The inlet, on the shallow spots, you got 3 foot little breakers in there, right? And that's all because of the shape of the bar and the pressure from the tide meeting the swell coming in, okay? Now, what I'm gonna do next is I'm going to run in the inlet, going back in the same way I came out. All right, look. This is how I would take this inlet as if I was coming in off a day of fishing. If you look to your left, we got some breakers to the left, over that way. Small breakers, but that lets you know that the water's shallow there. And then off to the right, I got more small breakers. But what that's doing, those waves are stacking up, letting you know that there's no water there. So we're gonna find the hole. We're gonna get it in gear here. And we're gonna get up and get going. 7 foot of water. I would probably, if I was coming in fishing in these conditions, we're gonna take this at probably about 20 knots or so. Four foot of water, we're coming over the bar now. You can see the waves starting to stack up to my left and right. I'm in the deep water. Maintaining control of the boat. 20 knots. I'm not hauling. I don't got the throttle pinned, but I'm giving it the power, letting the hull do the work, okay? All right, we're over the bar. You can see how the swell is starting to knock down. All right, folks, what I want to do now is run out this inlet as if I was going out for a day of fishing. All right, I'm going to run that same track I did before. Follow, stay out of the white water, stay in the deeper water, all right? Maintain control of the boat. The biggest thing is maintaining the control of the boat. So we're running at 20 knots. And I got white water to my left. It's shallow. I can see the waves starting to break to the right. That's shallow. And we're gonna run through this cut right here. This is my deep water. 5 foot of water. That's it, we're over the bar. All right, folks, I wanna run through, head in this inlet one last time. And what I wanna do it is to simulate having to go through a nasty inlet in the worst possible conditions. Now you got two options. If you are stuck offshore and it's nasty, but the conditions are all right outside the inlet, I would recommend not even going through the inlet, not even trying to get over the bar. If it's nasty, the conditions, you can see it, and there's breakers all the way across. It's stacked up, but it's flat out here. Just wait. The conditions are going to change. Just give it some time. If you cannot wait, it's an emergency, or there's for example, there's a storm coming in, the conditions are only going to increase. I have to get through the inlet. I don't have a choice. This is what you're going to do. So we get lined up on my track here. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to get on the back of a wave and stay on the back. You do not want to get on the front of it. Once you get on the front of the wave, well, we're going to need a wave to get on now, don't we? Once you get on the front of the wave, you're surfing at that point, and you'll lose control of the boat. So we'll wait for a little swell here for a second, see if we get a little swell to come in. Like I said, this isn't the best conditions to show y'all. What you're gonna do is you're gonna get on the back of a wave and maintain speed, and you're gonna ride the back of that wave all the way up over the bar at the same rate the wave's coming in. Problem is I don't have any waves right now. But you can see how even with no swell, how the water stacks up on that shallow spots. Yeah, we got a little something coming here. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get on the back of this guy, and I'm going to ride it all the way in through the inlet over the bar at the same speed. You don't wanna go over it. You don't want to get on the other side of it. If you look to my left, you can see that's the wave that's breaking. I'm right on its back. I'm right on the back of the wave, maintaining the same speed as the wave and crossing over the bar. You can see the wave right there. That's the wave I'm on. You don't want to go over it. Stay on his back. It's slow moving. This isn't a fast running through the inlet. Staying right on the back of that wave. All right, now I'm over the bar. Get up and get going again.
What I'm gonna recommend is, if this is your first time running out one of these inlets, there is no jetty, there is no, a lot of times there's not even markers, and if there is markers, there's a chance that they don't match what the shoal has or where the bar actually is, because once we have a storm come through, the bar moves. So there's a couple different resources you can use to find where the deep water is besides being able to see the conditions while you're at the house. You can check if you look at the Army Corps of Engineers inlet surveys on their website, they'll have a list of their recent surveys, and you can see the deep water for your inlet. Now, Brown's Inlet, the inlet I'm in, they don't survey this one, they don't mark this one. But the other inlets, Bogue Inlet, New River Inlet, they will all have surveys in there. Now, if the survey is a couple months old, there's a good chance that it may not be accurate anymore. So take that into consideration. The next thing you can do is get on Facebook, find one of these Facebook groups that guys are always talking about it, put a post up there, hey, what's the inlet looking like, where's the bar, somebody will help you out. And another thing is go follow somebody out the inlet. That's the most important thing. That's the biggest thing I would recommend, is follow somebody out, somebody who's been through before, that knows where they're going. Don't just follow some guy who takes his boat out once a year and takes his boat out once a year, goes to the inlet, because he probably doesn't know where he's going either. Follow a local charter captain or a recreational guy that goes out all the time, that knows where the bar is. Those are the people you want to follow. Send them a message, or wait by the inlet on a nice day. There's going to be a herd of boats heading out. Just follow the herd, okay? Mark the track, and then use that track as a reference there on out. Now, if you look at my tracks, you can see how my tracks have changed over the years, over time. I mean, they had the same general idea, but you can see how I've taken different exits over the bar at different times. So, something to take into consideration. Look at your shoreline, look at what inlet you're planning on going out of, and conditions to avoid are whatever direction the mouth of your inlet is facing. If you have a swell coming in the opposite direction, so my inlet is facing east, if I have a swell coming from the east with an outgoing tide, when those hit, it's going to stack up on that shallow water, so be mindful of that, okay? So watch the times, know your track, and follow somebody out. That's the number one thing I can tell you, is follow someone out. But all right, folks, I'm going to go fishing. Hopefully that was helpful.